What's the author thinking us about? What's the author mostly teaching us about the topic, and what's the point of view? And one of your teachers is going to write it right here so we can have it in our heads when we're reading. Before we start reading, pens out of your mouths, I gotta say, I feel like I'm working harder than you guys. Do you feel like that a little bit? I feel like I'm sort of sweating to help you understand, and you're not. I'm like giving 100% and you're giving 20%. And the problem with that is, I already know this stuff. So I want to see a huge upping of the ante of the intellectual effort. Let me see when you've got it, because I'll be able to tell by your eyes and your body. You've got it. You've got it. You've got it. I can see it in your eyes. You have that spark. Good. You've got it now. You've got it. You've got it. All right, I want you to maintain this, and it's not just that you look like you're listening. I want you guys to bring the intellectual effort, and I'm going to know by your answers, like I know you don't have it right now. And I'm going to know by that spark in your eyes. Pen down so I can see your eyes. Great. We've previewed the genre and the thinking job. And just so you guys have a felt sense of what it feels like when you know this and what it feels like when you're working really hard, Poppy, this takes usually about 30 seconds, but it's taken off about 5 minutes. All right, but we're gonna go faster now. All right, so we know that the genre is nonfiction, and our thinking job is, what is the author mostly teaching us about this topic, and what is the author's point of view? And the point of view is the way, I'm sorry, am I boring you? Okay, because you look a little bit bored, so I was worried. The point of view is the way that the author thinks or feels about the topic, or the author's attitude toward the topic. And Cassandra, why is it always so important to preview genre and know the thinking job? Full sentence, loud and proud. I want Kenny to be able to hear you. That's part of it, right? But more than that, this genre and this thinking job is always true for nonfiction. And if we know what the author is mostly teaching us about the topic, and if we know the point of view, we will understand the meaning of the text. And when we can do that, we can teach ourselves anything. And that's pretty cool, right? Okay, you guys have 1 minute to read this text silently to yourselves. Don't skip over the title as you do. Go. You guys know this. I'm preaching to the choir. You guys are reading. If you don't have total intellectual effort, right, it's so hard to tease out what skill, like what kids need help with versus what's effort, right? So that's why I want them trying their hardest. So then I can see like what actual needs do they have versus are they checked out. And as you're reading scholars, don't wait for me, right? Already in your mind, you're thinking, what is the author mostly teaching us about this topic, and what is the author's point of view? Your mind's already going. Okay. If you're underlining, you don't need to do that right now. It's slowing you down. We're going to go back in. You should be nearing the bottom of the first page. Going to be the first scholar to flip the page. I'm looking to see. It's got a fast, urgent reading pace. The narrating is a little distracting, I know, but I want to get the pace. Then as soon as I can stop doing that, I'll stop. Nice, Bobby. Nice, Amani. When you're done reading, your hands are folded, you're looking up at me. Amani's ready. Tiana, did I say that right? Tiana's ready. Okay, great. Eyes on me. Now we're going to read the text bit by bit, and we're going to talk about as we do, we're going to use our thinking job. Do you need to give me those headphones? Because the problem is they're not only distracting you, they're distracting me, and that's unfair to all of the scholars. Thank you, that's a good choice. Thank you for having ownership. As we're reading, we're going to be thinking, what is the author mostly teaching us about this topic, and what's the author's point of view? And I'm going to ask you guys some questions as we're reading to help us think about these things. The first thing we always do in nonfiction is we look at what, Jacob?
What is the author mostly teaching?
Yeah, that's the thinking job. When we read any text, we always look at the title first. Put your finger on the title. The title of your... Jacob, go ahead and read it.
Human impact on the Nile River.
Yeah. What does it mean to have an impact? Do you guys know? Go ahead. Beautiful. So this is going to be about the human impact or the human effect, right? A strong effect or influence on the Nile River. Great, I see some people jotting effect right above impact. Do it. We're going to hold the title in our heads as we're reading, because with any text, the title sometimes gives us halfway there or 3/4 of the way there toward the main idea. So the title, especially in nonfiction, gives us a huge clue about meaning. So now we know that we're really thinking about humans having a strong effect on the Nile River. And you guys already know that the Nile River is one of the longest rivers in the world. And do you know where it is?
Egypt.
Yeah, Egypt. Okay, background. Let's look at the subheading, background. Already I'm getting expectations of the text. What do you expect this first section to be about if it's called background? Kenny?
I expect some knowledge from what they know about it.
Yeah, great. It's going to give us, right, some knowledge about maybe the Nile River or the human impact on it, right? But it's going to give us some information to set us up, Tiana, to read the rest of the article. Okay. The Aswan High Dam was the second dam constructed in the Nile River. The first Aswan Dam, constructed in 1889, insufficiently held the water and was raised in 1912 and again in 1933. When the dam threatened to overflow for a third time in 1946, it was decided that a second dam was to be built a few miles upstream. Scholars, what's a dam? Based on the article, Poppy, what's a dam?
It blocks from too much water coming through.
Great, now say it in a complete sentence.
A dam is something that blocks water from coming through.
Great, and based on the article, how do you know that?
Because in the text it said,
Go ahead, you're looking for your own evidence. Go ahead, Poppy, you've got it.
it was decided that a second dam was built a few miles upstream. When the dam the first Aswan Dam constructed in 1889
Insufficiently, that means it didn't do a good job.
Insufficiently held the water.
Great, so you're figuring out then that a dam is something that holds water, right? It holds the water back like a big wall or blockade, and we can also figure that out from the picture in the text, right? The photograph and the words tell us that together. Okay, I have another question for you. Our job is to figure out what the author is mostly teaching us about the topic. What's the main topic of the article, do you think? Go ahead, Amani.
The main topic is, that I think it is the, how do you pronounce it?
Aswan?
The Aswan Dam.
Beautiful. And how do you know? What's your evidence? I know this because?
I know this because Emily talks about the Aswan Dam because it was the second constructed dam in the Nile River, and the first one was...
Yep, the first one insufficiently held the water. Good, so we know what our topic is. During the rainy season, the water is captured, follow along with your eyes, by the dam, stored until times of drought, and then released as needed. The necessity to control the annual flood arose from two principal concerns. Okay, I'm going to read this last sentence again, then I want you guys to tell me what you expect to learn about in the next paragraph. The necessity to control the annual flood arose from two principal concerns. Janaya, what are we going to hear about now? We're going to hear about
how the annual flood arose from two principal concerns.
Yep, and what that means, do you know what that means? Anybody know what that means? We're going to know the two problems that the dam was supposed to solve. We're going to know the two reasons that they needed the dam. Does that make sense? Okay, go. Go ahead and read the next paragraph, paragraph 2, to yourselves, and then we'll talk about it. As you're reading, you're thinking, what is the author mostly teaching us about this topic, the Aswan Dam? Can we keep going a couple extra minutes? Or do we have a hard stop?
Hard stop 27 because.
Oh, 27? Okay,
Kids
great.
are going to come in here, yeah.
We'll just get as far as we can. Okay. Look up when you're done. Just paragraph 2. Great, Amani's got it. Okay, so remember, scholars, you told us that we were going to be learning about the 2 main reasons that we needed the dam, right? The 2 key reasons that it was built. According to the article, what are they? What are the 2 reasons according to paragraph 2? Cassandra, what's one? What's one reason? Full sentence, loud and proud.
One concern is the increasing population.
Great, what does that mean, an increasing population?
It's like an amount of people.
Yeah, that there's more and more people. Great, that's one key reason. Nice, what's another key reason, Amani?
That the Aswan High Dam was built. Wait.
Go ahead.
That it can control the amount of water flow of the Nile River.
Right, so that it can control the flow of the Nile River, right? Because although, right, the Nile River helped when it watered the crops appropriately, it was very inconsistent, right? And the flooding could also be dangerous. So we've got our 2 reasons. I'm just going to annotate right in the corner here. 2 reasons needed AD. Okay, let's do one more paragraph, scholars. We have 2 more minutes, and then you'll finish this late. No, we have no more minutes?
We have no more minutes.
Okay. They have.
To go to gold teams.
All right, so eyes up. Your teachers, I'll go back into this text with you. What I want to tell you is that every time you read nonfiction, you have a plan of attack. You're going to preview the text, identify it as nonfiction, and then every time you read nonfiction, this same thinking job is going to help you anchor your thinking. What is the author mostly teaching us about this topic, and what is the author's point of view? Okay?